What's going on out there, college football world? So, Golden Blue Dude is still under the weather today, but hey, I called this show Cast of Characters because I've got some different guests coming in for you guys. A lot of you will know some of these people. Some of you will see some of these people for the first time. And in the back room right now, I've got a couple I'm going to bring in with us right now. How about this one? Former running back off of 1988, West Virginia Mountaineer undefeated football team, Mr. Eugene Napoleon. What's going on, Eugene?
Going on, my
Nice
guy?
to
How
have
are
you here.
you? Thank
I'm
you.
great, man. Nice to have you here. We also have with us the man with a plan, with a team that thinks he can because Georgia Tech upset North Carolina, Mr. Cdogg. What's going on,
Hey,
Cdogg?
how's it going, Joey? Good to be here.
Good. Nice to have you here. So
hmm
Eugene can't stay with us very long, and I wanted to bring Eugene on so we could talk a little bit about the state of football at West Virginia University right now. Of course, Shane Lyons is out, athletic director. Haven't got to talk to you since that happened, Eugene. And then we have possibly Neil Brown coaching his last game for the Mountaineers this weekend. We don't know that for sure, but we all speculate and figure that's what it'll be. Any thoughts on that going forward about who you think would be a good athletic director, who you think would be a next head coach, or
Well,
if we
I'll tell
even
you one.
change coach?
Yeah, I'll tell you one thing. What's funny about our former AD, you see, he lands right back at Alabama, where he came from initially. So
Right.
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure he's good. I'm sure he's good. Um, as far as a head coach, listen, who knows? I just know this because of the state of college football in general. We have to have. I'm hoping whoever that next guy is, even if it's going to be a next guy, because who knows what's going to happen with Neil Brown. Like I said, West Virginia's always done this business behind closed doors, so you won't know until you know, so to speak. Whoever is in that seat has to understand the culture of where we are now with the transfer portal, NILs, and all this type of stuff. So whoever it is really has to understand those things. But more importantly, will have to understand the culture of West Virginia. So I'm hoping if it's not Neil Brown, it's someone who understands the history and where we come from and how WVU does its business, because it's totally different. The landscape there is totally different than any place else in the country.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that 100%. And something that I have never seen happen at Western University happened this past weekend, and that was a player tweeting right before the game that I'm hitting the transfer portal, and then
Right.
continuing on to say things like they shouldn't expect me to play with a season-ending injury, or they won't let me speak with my brothers. They won't let me hang out with my brothers because I have a season-ending injury. I don't know how true that is. I don't know if he's just mad at somebody. Maybe he didn't like the cafeteria food that day. They could transfer for anything these days. You know that. So, what are your thoughts on that? I mean,
Well, let me tell you something. I tread very lightly with that stuff because, as you well know, Joey, I transferred from Pittsburgh to WVU.
right,
Obviously, totally different times under totally different circumstances. But nowadays, for me, I'm old school when it comes to that kind of stuff. The transfer portal, for what it's worth, I know West Virginia fans get upset with it. It giveth and it taketh away. It's just that simple. Do you think Oklahoma was happy when they lost both of their five-star quarterbacks? One's now at South Carolina, the other one's at USC. No, I'm sure they're not happy. But my point is, for whatever reason, this young man obviously has reasons as to why he tweeted that. Me personally, I don't personally think that that's the way you go about it. It took me almost 7 years to talk about why I transferred from Pittsburgh, and that had to do with my death, the death of my older sister. Had nothing to do
right,
with playing. That had all to do with I didn't like the way that they handled the death of my sister. So I didn't talk about that till almost 6, 7 years after the fact. Nowadays, like I keep saying, it's such a different culture. You can tweet, text, go on IG, and a few minutes before kickoff and say, "Here's my intentions." Different culture, man. Different culture, different young people, the way they think. Um, that's just not the generation that I come from. But again, this is what I'm saying about college sports the way it is right now. You're seeing things for the first time because this is the first time anybody ever heard of the transfer portal, NILs. It used to be a time when The brown paper bag was being done and given underneath the table. All right, for major college sports. Now with NILs, everything is up front and on the table. So it's just a different time, Joey. That young man, I pray for him. I wish him the best. Honestly, I don't have any ill feelings towards him at all. If you don't want to be here, go find some place that you think is suitable for you. I will say this: the grass is not always greener.
No, it's not. And I think still the same holds true. Once a mountaineer, always a mountaineer. I don't think the mountaineer pride will ever leave him. I think he enjoys Morgantown and things. I think he's just unhappy for some reason on the football field. And it may be the play of the football team. I mean, that, and I can understand that completely. And it could be that, maybe he's got a parent or something that's sick and he wants to be closer to him and he just don't want to tweet that out. There's just a lot of reasons, a lot of things he could be saying. So, but,
right. And that's why, Joey, for that reason, I'm hoping, I don't think our fans understand, and I know we're passionate about this stuff. You got to be very careful and measure your words when you're talking about young people in their situations, because you really don't know. You really don't know.
Exactly.
Same way these kids put stuff out is the same way you put it out. Is the same way they read it and they receive it from others. So when I read different things every day, and sometimes I cringe, like, whoa, wait a minute, that's a little bit too far. There's a difference between being passionate, and then there's a difference also between being hurtful in what you put out. It's your intentions. If you're putting something out that's hurtful or detrimental to this young person's family, you got to leave that stuff alone, man. It is what it is, because other potential recruits and parents, they're reading this stuff.
Exactly. I agree 100%. And another thing too, and I tell people this all the time, it's just a known fact that we misread everything. 70% of everything we read, we misread. So in other words, we read more into it, or we take less out of it than what it's actually intended to be. It's nothing like a one-on-one personal conversation. If you type something out and you read it, and I have you read something and I have Cdogg read something, y'all are going to read it completely different and maybe take something different out of it. And so sometimes we got to watch what we're reading into when these players tweet out this stuff that may not mean nothing at all. I just feel like that. Now, I want to ask you about a coach that not very many people have talked about, but I think somebody that would fit the culture really well at West Virginia University, and that's Charlie Strong. I think Charlie Strong would make a good coach at West Virginia because he coached at Louisville, done a really good job. Similar culture there, so I look at that and I think, hey, there's a man that could probably coach West Virginia and give us a different perspective on that. How would you feel about Charlie Strong?
I'll tell you, it's funny you say that, because I've thought about him over the years. And everywhere he's gone, he had to navigate some pretty interesting things, but always did it with class and with culture. Class and with character, no matter what the culture was, wherever he went. I think that would be a great hire, to be honest with you. Charlie, let me say, and he knows obviously what he's doing. He knows how to build programs. So recruiting is ridiculous. His ability to recruit on a national level is something to be talked about as well. You almost have to have a guy like that. First off, a strong builder of young men, because you have to have that. You can't have somebody to come in and just let them do whatever, obviously. And he's always a component of the student athlete first. They have to go to class and do what they need to do in the classroom. And you know me, Joey, I'm big on that. I can give 2 cents about what you do on the field. If you're not getting it done in the classroom, I don't want you anyway, because you win with character and you win with smart young men. I've always said this. He ties that together pretty good. So you're right. I think he would be an interesting candidate, for WVU or for any university, period. I mean, that's a strong candidate. I agree with you.
Yeah. Well, Eugene, I promise not to keep you. I know your wife's got a game and she sent you the link. You're supposed to be watching that right now. But I do want you to tell everybody about it. Yeah.
That's okay, because whatever I miss, I'm going to blame on you.
I know. And then she's going to text me later and say, why did you keep Eugene so long? So I know how it goes. And I don't want no woman mad at me. So, guys, let me tell you what. Eugene Napoleon is a great friend. He's a great man. His wife is super. And listen, Eugene, tell them where to find you and your wife, and especially your wife. She's so talented. Tell them about that.
Okay. I definitely will. Yeah, my wife she's a Grammy considered 3-time platinum recording artist and gold selling recording artist as well. We've been in this business 27 years. So she goes by the name of, her stage name is Naya, NY''A. And you can find her on any streaming platform, especially Spotify. So if you look her up, if you go on YouTube, all her music videos are there. I can't say enough about her. Obviously, we've been married for 29 years. And like I said, been in this music space for 27 of those years. Very successful. The best place to find her musically, like I said, anywhere that you buy your music, you download it, stream it, you'll find her content. You can go to her Facebook page, Tracy Napoleon, Naya. So that's her Facebook page. Mine is simple. On Facebook, I'm Eugene Napoleon. And I would say that's the easiest place to find me. I'm all over the place, but that's the easiest place to find me. I have a few other shows, and thank God for the help of Joey. My podcast, which it's Napoleon's Corner, it comes on every Wednesday. It's a motivational, kind of like topical channel where we talk about inspirational, motivational things. And then I have Relatively Sports with Eugene Napoleon that comes on every Tuesday, where I have a guest. It could be anybody from any university, but I've been really focused, obviously, on WVU, former players and athletes. But I got a few surprises coming up here in the next few weeks that they won't be WVU players, but you're going to get something out of it. So that's my little spill. Hey, Joey, man, I appreciate you. And I got to get you on my show, Relatively Sports, with the wealth of knowledge that you have. So I got to line you up.
All right, man. Anytime, Eugene. I appreciate you coming on and stuff. And thanks for everything. Eugene, and everybody, be sure and hit Eugene up and subscribe to him. Fantastic shows. So, Eugene, I appreciate you and love you, man.
Love you too. Take care. Hey, listen, let's go Mountaineers.
Let's go Mountaineers. Right.
All right. Take care.
So I appreciate Eugene coming on with us today. And while he was here, Hufferbilly Paw has popped in with us. What's going
HBP? On, what's up?
Hey, guys. Hey, what a great weekend this was, man.
I agree.
I mean, whew, Georgia Tech coming through, taking out the Tar Holes, and it's all good.
For sure, man.
What got me was after Georgia Tech upsets North Carolina, I have to go over to Cdogg's channel to see what video is going to be put out. And here's Cdogg running down the middle of his damn neighborhood in the middle of the night screaming, "We won! We won! We did it!" Laying in people's yards and screaming. It's a wonder he's not in jail. Tell us about that video, man.
I had a lot of people over too. We have this thing called Friendsgiving every year, and it's like, Thanksgiving, but all my friends come over and we have we all bring food and stuff. So I had a bunch of people here, and I keep playing and stuff. Like, I thought it wasn't going to be much of a game. I thought we might get blown out, but because we were down to our third and fourth string quarterbacks.
Wow.
And they both played. Yeah, your HBP, your boy Pumachan.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Did he do good? See, I was oh cool.
Yeah,
so he did
played
well.
Great. Yeah. He man, it was crazy because the two quarterbacks that we were down to, Zach Gibson and Pumachan, they both are frankly not very good quarterbacks, neither one of them, but they each had their own strengths, right? So Pumachan is a pretty good runner, and Zach Gibson has a good arm. So we did the two quarterback thing, and it worked. Somehow.
Whatever.
I mean, we would put Zach Gibson in the throw and Pumachan into run. And and it worked. And Pumachan, they tried to get him to throw a little bit, but he threw an interception. And then they didn't have
that.
They didn't have him throw for the rest of the night, I don't think. But they would literally have him take the snap, and he would immediately just take off and run. And he got a rushing touchdown.
Wow.
So for those of you that don't know, Tyson Pumachan was the backup for DJ LA last season. That Clemson quarterback, 4-star coming out of high school, but transferred to Georgia Tech and got his first bit of action this week. So he'll play in the Georgia game too, I'm sure.
Yeah, the thing that this is what's interesting. When I see those kinds of dynamics between two quarterbacks, one's really good at passing but not very good at moving. The other one's really good at moving but not necessarily passing. Why don't they put both of them in the backfield together? Because even the one that's not good at passing still is a quarterback and probably can pass okay at times, and it keeps the defense off guard. Right?
Honestly, Pumachan, at running back or something, I don't know. We have struggled kind of at running back, but that's what they had him do, and we might see that this week against Georgia. I don't know. It's amazing what Brent Key has done with such short notice
and nothing.
So Brent Key, when he takes over, I know a lot of people don't pay a lot of attention to Georgia Tech, but you know what, HVP, I wouldn't actually say that he has nothing. We have a pretty good roster. Well, it's not as good as last year. It's not. We got gutted in the transfer portal. They all left after Jeff Collins had another horrible year. But I've been saying, like, we have the talent. We had some good recruiting classes, and we have good players. And I know a lot of people don't care about Tech, but it really has been a great story. It's been a roller coaster of a season, but Brent Key took over after Jeff Collins' horrible start to the year. Brent Key took over, and we all remember when we went on the road and beat the number 24 Pitt on the road. Didn't even practice that week. We practiced like 2 or 3 days that week. That was the week we fired Jeff Collins, and he somehow won. And then we beat Duke at home on homecoming the next week. That was amazing. I was at that game. That was one of the best Tech games I've ever seen. That I was so excited. And then we, of course, have a very terrible loss to Virginia, but that's because Jeff Sims goes down in that game. And so our starting quarterback's down now, and we go to our backup and Zach Gibson, and he just is terrible. And his problem is that he can't run around in the pocket a lot. He's very bad at avoiding pressure, and it doesn't go well with our offensive line. But anyway, so he gets benched for a true freshman. We take a beating against Florida State, but the true freshman Zach Pyron comes in and looks great towards the end of the game and leads the team to a touchdown at the end there. I know it was in garbage time, but it was a good leading into the Virginia Tech game, which we wound up winning with the true freshman. But so we're looking good. Then we go to get Miami at home. Freaking Zach Pyron breaks his clavicle. So now we're down 2 quarterbacks. We got to go back to, we lose to Miami. Now we got to go back to Gibson and Pumachan here at the North Carolina game and somehow pull it out. So it's just amazing how Brent Key over the course of the year has been able to adapt to losing the quarterbacks like that and surprise people. And you just didn't see that under Jeff Collins.
His adjustments are incredible.
Well, now
and his ability to get the team rallying
on the fly. And we had a really bad punt blocking problem. If everybody remembers that at the beginning of the year, we had like 4 punts blocked up until Jeff Collins was fired, and haven't had one since. So
now you got a big game this weekend. It's a rivalry weekend. Georgia Tech.
Number one.
Without a doubt, they're the best team in the country. I think there's nobody that doesn't have them number one. And anybody that says Georgia's not number one they haven't watched much.
They don't know what they're talking about. Yeah,
right.
They don't understand.
So I mean, there's not a lot of is there hope for Georgia Tech? There's always hope, but the likely scenario is you'll lose this game. Adelaide will finish the year out at 5-7. Hey, there's a lot of teams some years that can't fill bowls, and they pick a 5-7 team. So Georgia Tech could end up in a bowl at 5-7.
I was looking at that today, and well, obviously, if we want to make a bowl, we just need to beat Georgia, which I know is not likely because it's a huge mismatch or whatever. But we're not very high on the list. I know it's academic, but I think it's academic progress rating, which we're like 7 behind all the other 5-7 teams. So, or 5-6 teams, I guess. So I don't really see that working out as far as that happening. I think it's a long shot. I think obviously our best chance at a bowl is to beat Georgia, which is a long shot for sure, but crazier things have happened, don't they?
Anything can happen.
I'm
on
choosing
any
to
given
believe.
Saturday.
I feel a hell of a lot better about it than last year when, we lost our last 2 games to Notre Dame 55-0 and then lost to Georgia 45-0. But, not having our quarterbacks, our 2 best quarterbacks is going to hurt us. We were able to survive against UNC, but, like I said about Zach Gibson, Georgia has a much better.
Have they made any decisions on the coaching? Is it Brent Key? Are they going to keep him, or what are they going to do?
So the fan base is split, and a civil war has emerged in the fan base because our athletic director that we fired our athletic director when we fired Jeff Collins too. So our new one, which we brought from Alabama, he was like the assistant athletic director up there. So this guy wants Jamie Chadwell from Coastal Carolina.
Okay, so here's what happened there. That's funny. That's funny you mentioned that because we fired our athletic director. We hired Shane Lyons from Alabama. He was the assistant athletic director. We hired him. Then we turned around and fired him a couple weeks ago. You hired the assistant athletic director from Alabama. Shane Lyons goes back to Alabama. Assistant athletic director.
Today. Was it today?
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay.
West Virginia and Georgia Tech just trading off Alabama athletic directors here, and we'll see what happens.
Well, see, he wants Chadwell, which I think is a great option. I mean, Chadwell has won everywhere he's been. He has a great resume. He's not like Jeff Collins. Like when we hired Jeff Collins had never built anything in his life. Jamie Chadwell has built programs. Coastal Carolina was like an FCS team, and he took them up and built them from nothing, had them ranked in the top 25 and stuff like that. He has a very good offense and a quarterback. If we hired him, he would bring Grayson McCall. I'm pretty certain. So that would be a great quarterback that we just have, next year, especially because I think Jeff Sims is transferring. I think that's the consensus, which is very sad because I am a Jeff Sims fan. I've got his trading card right here, by the way. It's signed. Yeah.
Cool.
Oh yeah. Signed trading card.
I like Sims too, though. I mean, I think he's just a guy. He's got a great head about him. He's a good, heady quarterback. That's what I like.
I like him too, but I think he's going to be gone, which is very sad to me. I like that he stayed this year when everybody else left, but yeah, I think he's going to be leaving. So it would be nice to get McCall in here. A really, really good Grayson McCall, but a lot of people don't want Chadwell. They want Brent Key. They've seen enough, and they've and Brent Key played at Tech. He's a Tech man. He loves the school. And he hugs the players, and all of the players, every one of the players that I've seen has gone to Twitter and said, "Keep Coach Key. We make him."
That's what I was hoping they would do. Is no matter what, Coach Key has a position there because he shows that he's got heart and he's not a dumb coach. He's a really smart coach, and just help him get his next gig. Keep him for a year or two and keep the program consistency.
Yeah, that's
a big thing people don't realize. All this change kills you. It's like you're going from scratch every time. You need consistency. And,
I hope that if we do hire Chadwell, which it looks like it's going to be Chadwell and Coach Key, I mean, for me personally, I like them both.
Yep.
I think that Key has done a great job. So many people are supporting him. So I think it's going to be one of the two that's going to be our next head coach. There was some other names thrown around like Mike Houston from DU and like Willie Fritz from Tulane, but I don't think I think it's going to be either Coach Key or Chadwell. And
Joey, y'all, when I came on, I came in a little late. Y'all were talking about Charlie Strong, and what was the story on that? Is he being looked at to go to Auburn?
There's not really a story on it. We were just talking about coaches for West Virginia that would understand the culture.
Oh, okay.
And I mentioned Charlie Strong because Charlie Strong coached at Louisville and pretty much the same culture as West Virginia around the Louisville area, and he did really well at Louisville. And I thought Charlie Strong could probably do really well at West Virginia too. So. And he's a great recruiter, so that's why I just thought that. Uncle Lou's got a message for you, Cdogg. He says Georgia Tech is garbage. Doesn't matter who they are. Dead program.
Yeah, I see that. I bet he's sweating bullets. I bet he's sweating bullets. I mean, you want to know something?
I think Luke's doing his game.
You want to know something? Georgia Tech just got a 4-star quarterback commit yesterday with no head coach. With no head coach, we got a 4-star quarterback commit. So, I mean, it is what it is. As soon as Georgia Tech gets their shit figured out, it's done for Georgia. Okay? It's done for y'all. So, he's probably shaking his boots. I know he's worried about seeing us come up to Athens and whoop up on them this year.
Yeah, I'm hearing the same thing about – yeah, I'm hearing the same thing about South Carolina this week because they beat Tennessee. So they're like, oh, my God, they're going to beat Clemson. And I'm like, yeah, no, that ain't going to happen. I hate to tell you.
That was a big win for South Carolina to beat Tennessee.
Yeah.
But
South Carolina has had
2 weeks in a row is going to be tough for South Carolina.
The same season as Georgia Tech. They've had ups and downs and ups and downs. It's like been the same. So. I don't know.
Yeah, for me, I look at it. The tides are changing. So the things are shifting around. So we're starting to get like TCU's coming into play now.
Mm-hmm.
Southern Cal looks like they might be back, or at least within reason of being back. And then we've got these upset wins by South Carolina, and Tennessee had a great year. So it's all good. I mean, I don't have an issue with it. It's just it's fun to jaw about it, to talk to people.
And Clemson and Alabama have come back down to earth. Lately.
Yes, sir.
So they're looking beatable more and more.
Yep.
A couple teams have got their licks in on them.
Yep.
After a while. So it is pretty interesting for parity. I just wish somebody would take down the damn Bulldogs. Guess we'll have to do it ourselves.
Well, now I'm going to say this: if something happens that Georgia Tech upsets Georgia, I want every subscriber for Golden Blue to go over and super chat $1 or $2 to Cdogg to bail him out of jail, because his neighbors are going to have to put in jail after that game, running up and down their yards, screaming and yelling. So
the Georgia
naked, nonetheless.
The Georgia fans better hope that they better hope that Georgia Tech never beats Georgia, because I'll chase them all off the internet. As much crap as they give me, always in my comment section on every video, you can't go on a single video of mine without having a bunch of them in the comment section. I'll run them all off the internet. I've got receipts. I got a list, and they better hope it doesn't happen, because I will make them block me.
Yeah, well, you should. You paid your dues. Now it's time to pay them back.
I sure have. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I feel bad for the fans that just hate on Georgia Tech all the time, because I know there are some that do that. Just like I feel bad for the fans that love South Carolina. They don't know what they do. See, Georgia Tech's coming back. It's just a matter of moments. And then South Carolina, never. They're never going to win. Not against us anyway.
Yeah, I like the potential of Georgia Tech, because we are in the city, and like I said, we just got a 4-star quarterback without even having a coach, because kids just want to play there. And now that we've started to win a couple games and show what we're capable of, and Jeff Collins, as bad as he was before he won 3 games last year, he had a top 25 recruiting class lined up. you know.
Did he?
And we just need a coach that halfway knows what he's doing, because that team that we had last year, that roster, could have won 7 or 8 games
Wow.
if the coach knew what he was doing. But we had Jahmyr Gibbs. This is one of the best players in the country. You know, if Jeff Sims could have been developed as a quarterback at all, and of course we actually hired Chris Winkie. You know, the Florida State quarterback that won the Heisman.
Yep.
Yeah, he's our quarterbacks coach. We brought him over the offseason, and he's done a great job with our quarterbacks. We didn't have a dedicated quarterback coach before then, so I've been impressed with old Winkie and what he was able to do. Jeff Sims looked great before he got
hurt. Yeah.
So
It's a shame that some of these good quarterbacks go down, because it's fun to watch them play. I like Hendon Hooker. I mean, I just watch him and Joe. Holy crow! So I don't hate the fact that a quarterback is better than our quarterback. What I don't like is whenever they're playing well and then they get hurt, thrown out.
Yeah,
the season.
I
That's
know.
horrible.
And it's happened freaking twice to us this year.
Yeah.
Sucks.
Now, one thing you were talking about earlier, Hufferbilly, you said you'd like to see teams that have a mobile quarterback and a stationary quarterback play both of them, put them both in the backfield. West Virginia had
just
JT Daniels and they had Garrett Green.
Yeah.
And they put them both in the backfield, and it didn't work out real well. I mean, they would just swing Garrett Green out and throw him the ball, and he acted like a running back out of the backfield. So they wasn't fooling nobody with that. And if JT was going to get the ball, they were going to snap him the ball, they just had JT out. If JT was in the game, you knew JT was getting the snap, so they wasn't fooling anybody. I know what you're saying.
Yeah, but that's because the differential is too great. You got to have a decent passing quarterback as the second one that runs well. He can't be horrible, right? And so you got to have it's got to be close enough for government work. And then you put the two in, and you do a swing pass out to the other guy, and the other guy just passes it down the field 25, 30 yards. That means things like that, because they don't know if they're going to run it. They don't know if they're going to pass it. You know, it's just one of those things. I think you can put uncertainty. I don't think you do it all the time, for goodness sake, but you can do it at times in the game and go in a fast pace and make the defense have to figure out where's Waldo, you know?
I want to give a shout out to the chat here real quick, and thank you guys for being here. Be sure and hit the like button. If you're not subscribed to Golden Blue Dude, be sure and hit the subscribe button. By the way, I'm not Golden Blue Dude. He wears a clown suit and comes in here a lot, but I'm not Golden Blue Dude. So the clown's in here. Golden Blue Dude's not feeling well. He's still under the weather. Hopefully tomorrow he'll be back. He said he's starting to feel better, but was just afraid he wasn't going to be able to do the show today. So I came on and done it.
Well, that wasn't because of the L that he took this Saturday, was it?
Well, it may be. It may be just he's down about West Virginia so bad he can't come on. You know. Yeah, it's been a tough season for Mountaineers, man. It's been a tough one. And you know, the thing about it is games you wouldn't expect us to win at the beginning of the season, such as Oklahoma or Baylor. Those are the games we won. It's the games that you didn't expect us to lose, the Iowa State, and the Kansas. We lost those games. So I mean, it's been a crazy year for West Virginia. But now we're down an athletic director and soon to be a coach. I'm afraid. And I've taken up for Neil Brown entirely too long. It's time to replace him. I'm all for Neil Brown. He's a great guy. Just a horrible coach on Saturday. He's a great coach Sunday through Friday. He's fantastic. Good recruiter, and says all the right things. Great steward of the state. Does all his commitments and everything. Never calls in sick, so to say. Then on Saturday, for some reason, he can't coach a game. So it's time for a change, and I think that change is coming real soon.
What?
Now, Cdogg, Georgia Tech's had a similar season, up and down and stuff. But I know you wanted to go to a bowl game and things and stuff. And then I look at teams like South Carolina. South Carolina's bowl eligible already, right? in the SEC. Are they bowl eligible?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So regardless, they win or lose this week, which I'm sure Hufferbilly will tell you real quick. They're going to lose. Oh, now Hufferbilly, tell me something.
Mm-hmm.
I know y'all went to the game. You and Traveling Fools and Slim Shady Canes, all of you went to the game, right?
Yep.
And Pigskin and Pete.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I heard a little rumor. Somebody was telling me. I bet you know who it is. Was telling me that after the game, y'all went to a bar or something and was just hanging out, and somebody hollered out South Carolina, was rooting for South Carolina. That didn't go over too well, did it?
Yeah, no. Some idiot, and there are Clemson fans that are idiots too. You know, not every fan is smart. But he had on his Clemson regalia, and South Carolina, Tennessee was on the TVs in there, and he goes, "This might be the only time I do it, but I'm a go Cox guy tonight." And I'm telling you, the place descended on that dude.
Oh,
It said,
man.
"What in the hell is wrong with you?" I mean, no self-respecting Clemson fan ever pulls for them. And I mean, they were about to go into a fight.
Wow.
I mean, we were getting ready to get out of there because there was going to be a huge brawl at the Esso Club down there. You know, the famous Esso Club. It's old school, man. You don't go down there and start rooting for the Cox.
Man, is that because it would knock Tennessee out of playoff hunt? Is that why?
Yeah, these guys would pull for South Carolina just to get in the playoffs. The hell with that. I'd soon not go.
I wouldn't pull for Georgia under any circumstances. I wouldn't pull for them against Al Qaeda.
And the hardcore guys were like, that's a bunch of nonsense, man. And it was getting heated, and the people had to come over and say, "Look, guys, calm down, just be quiet, don't get yelling at one another." But they were about to go after one another. I was like, man, these old geezers get mad about their football.
Yeah. It's serious business.
So we got a countdown going on now. So in about 20 minutes, they're going to come out with the playoff standings. I want each one of you to give me your playoff, your top six right now. Who do y'all have for top six? Start with you, Hufferbilly.
I think it stays the same. The top four stay what they were last week. Nothing really changes there. I think TCU is the fourth one though because they keep eking out wins. Michigan would be 3 in my book. Ohio State 2, Georgia 1. Then down below, I know there's this clamoring that a 2-loss LSU should be 6 or 5, but they can put them there. But Georgia's going to mollywop them in the SEC championship game, so it doesn't really matter. But they'll be probably one of those. Yeah, I think they will. I think Georgia will beat the LSU.
Sure. Think them corn dogs are going to take them down.
Yeah, if you beat Tech, Tech beats Georgia. I mean, then it gets real interesting. But until that event happens,
they play the game for a reason.
Yeah, I know.
They play the game for a reason.
But I would say USC should be 5, and then I would say LSU would be 6, maybe, or 7.
So you would put LSU above Clemson?
Yeah, because here's why. There's this need for the SEC to feel more important than it really is. And they're going to keep that level up there until Georgia does punk them in the SEC championship. I really do. So
yeah, there are a lot of deranged LSU fans. I agree right there, man. That's all I've heard is we're going to be in the playoffs. Just wait and see, Joey. We're going to playoffs. No, you ain't. Yeah, because we're going to beat Georgia. I said, I don't care if you beat Georgia. You still ain't going to go because Georgia just dropped from 1 to 4. Georgia just dropped from 1 to 4, and you're not going to go in anyway. So,
yeah, you ain't going. But I love the fact. Well, I secretly inside I would never say go Cox at the Esso Club like that other idiot did. But I was sitting there going, if they do, why can't they both lose? Was my first thought, and then I said, well, that's not really going to happen. And then whenever I saw that South Carolina was probably going to beat them, I was just saying, oh, that should shut up the Tennessee man. I'm saying he's going to the playoffs over Clemson with a 1-loss ACC championship. Yeah, right. Okay.
Mm-hmm. I'm wondering if TCU, what happens if they get to the I'm wondering. I'm not if TCU can get to the Big 12 championship and win it and be 13-0.
Well,
If they
Kansas
do,
If they
they're
get
in.
Kansas
So well,
State
too.
again,
Yeah.
if they get Kansas State again, I'm thinking they lose to Kansas State and get their first loss. Because of course Kansas State had the 2 quarterback injuries in their game. Which, by the way, did y'all see that Kansas State and Baylor game this past weekend?
Yeah.
I mean, wow, that was an amazing game.
Yeah.
But
And
I'm trying to think ahead of because I think right at this point it might be a little pointless to put Ohio State and Michigan at 2 and 3 because they're about to play and one of them's going to drop. And I think if Michigan loses, their strength of schedule is not good enough to survive that. I think that what I'm wondering if they would put in. So if Kansas State wins the Big 12, does TCU have any shot at getting into the playoff at all?
no, I don't think so. I think TCU has to run the table to get in. I just feel like that. Even though
what a shame.
Even though the Big 12 is a pretty strong conference this year, top to bottom, and the teams are pretty well matched. I mean, we played TCU all the way to the wire. About everybody has.
Mhm.
And
I
it's
feel
a pretty well matched
like
conference.
I feel
think
like
that hurts.
anybody like UCL, USC, or TCU loses any game, they're out completely. And I don't think LSU is going to be in because I know Georgia's pretty much going to kill them. And whoever loses the Michigan and Ohio State game is out. So
I don't think USC is going to survive either.
If USC runs the table and finishes with 1 loss, and TCU finishes with 1 loss, USC jumps them and gets in playoffs.
Yeah.
That's how
I don't think they will. I don't think USC is going to go undefeated. I think TCU, they'll catch a loss either to Notre Dame or in the Pac-12 championship. And I think the Pac-12 plays itself out of the playoffs. And then I think TCU probably loses to Kansas State in the Big 12 championship. And then I would probably say you get Clemson in with 1 loss, Georgia, Ohio State, and I guess at that point you would look at the teams, and so you think that they would put in Michigan then above TCU because they would be in the same place, Michigan and TCU. Except I guess TCU would have a division title, even though they don't do divisions. But
you got to remember. Sorry to interrupt you, but what you got to remember is whenever Clemson, if they do what I think they'll do, which I'm not, I'm not confident because they're Jekyll and Hyde at times. But if Clemson wins the ACC with 1 loss, they're taking a spot. I mean, that's a spot gone. Georgia's taking a spot. Michigan, Ohio State.
I'm assuming Clemson gets in.
Yeah, and then Michigan, Ohio State takes a spot. So then you're down to LSU, TCU, or USC, and which one of those 3 is going to either win out and make it obvious, and the other one's drop 1, or is a 1-loss USC conference winner of the pack better than a 1-loss TCU? That I don't. I'll be honest with you. I think USC goes. I think the pack has been left out too long, and they're going to let them in.
Yeah. Well, So my top 6
I think if USC were to go,
go ahead, Cdogg. Go ahead, Cdogg.
I was going to say if USC was to go to run the table, I think they would get in over 1-loss TCU with the Big 12 championship loss. But in my opinion, I don't think they do. I think it'll probably come down to a 1-loss Michigan or Ohio State versus the 1-loss TCU. And in my opinion, I'd put in TCU because I'm more impressed by their schedule, their strength of schedule. Michigan has had a really bad schedule, and TCU's had they played some tough teams. So I'd probably put in TCU in that situation. They'd have a division title, which Michigan won it, or Ohio State, which one wins. In that
What
case,
could be interesting?
that's what I think.
Is if Ohio State was to beat Michigan, and USC runs the table, and let's say Kansas State beats TCU, and Clemson runs the table, you could have all these one-loss teams sitting there at the end fighting for number 4. Okay, so you would have Georgia, Ohio State, right there at 1 and 2, no doubt about it, right? Then you would have somebody fighting for 3 and 4, rather. So you'd have a 1-loss Michigan, a 1-loss USC, 1-loss TCU, 1-loss Clemson. All these 1-loss teams fighting for 3 and 4. How will the committee look at that? Are they going? I'm sure they're going to look at strength of records, strength of schedule, things like that. But that's not always held true. If you think back in 2014, TCU and played a pretty tough schedule then and got left out in 2014.
Yeah.
So
and
they got left out.
Clemson will get in. Clemson will get in as a 1-loss ACC championship a champion. I think for sure. The real question here is: will Clemson remain undefeated? I'm not talking about South Carolina. I'm talking about North Carolina. I think North Carolina could do it. I know you don't want to hear that, HPP, but I think
I was worried about. I think the quarterback makes a difference. If he has a really good, if he's hot, Clemson's always struggling with a good quarterback play, so they have the opportunity to take it. I mean, it's not as hard as you guys beating Georgia. Okay, for North Carolina to beat Clemson for sure. But as you saw this weekend,
North Carolina
got beat.
Team.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's the kind of thing. I think maybe we caught them slipping. Maybe we caught them looking ahead to NC State or something like that. Maybe they weren't interested in the game. They overlooked us. I think we'll see a return to the average here in the next couple of weeks for North Carolina, and maybe they just stumbled. They still got their sights set on the ACC championship. Yeah. So I think you're going to get their best game for sure, and I think that they're very good at their best.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. But that'll be fun. I mean, these are going to be great. The next couple of games that we're going to watch, the championship games as well as the last game of the year, these should set some good drama up for the rest of the playoff committee, because there's going to be surprises. Yeah.
Yeah. If you really want to throw a wrench into it, LSU beating Georgia would throw it all on its head, because a 2-loss SEC champion, I don't care, is getting in, and Georgia would get in too, assuming that they just had the 1 loss. So that would be 2 spots automatically.
That would be 3 because then the winner of Ohio State, Michigan.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that would be 3 spots. So then you would have you would have TCU, Clemson, USC all fighting for that 1 spot, and the loser of the Ohio State Michigan game all fighting for spot number 4. So LSU could throw a monkey wrench in there. That's for sure. That would be. They could make it all interesting, change everything.
They could.
Waiting on the
and look, Georgia's not invincible.
No.
Georgia's not invincible. I wouldn't call them a shoo-in. I mean, they're not that dominant as they were last year. So LSU could sneak up in there and get them. Who knows? They're playing better ball lately.
Well, I'm amazed. I am shocked.
I know I'm gonna be cheering for them.
Yeah, I'm shocked at LSU's turnaround in that shorter period. It's kind of like USC. I'm shocked at that too. I really never expected that Lincoln Riley in 1 year would have them vying for the playoffs. Yeah. After what they looked like before, they were just, miserably, off the beaten path. And LSU was going down too, and now here they are, showing they've got some fight. So Georgia's going to they will have a game. There won't be any doubt about that. I just don't think they have all the horses to stay with Georgia. That's really the problem.
Yeah.
So I hear people in the chat saying, what about Texas? I hear people in the chat talking about what about Texas, because they would have 2 losses if they can run the table. Because here's the thing about Texas. Texas needs Kansas State to lose to Kansas this week, but let's just say it happens. Then Texas has to beat Baylor. Is it Baylor they play? Yeah, I think it's Baylor. So they have to beat Baylor. Then
They're not going to beat
win
Baylor.
the conference championship. Now, here's the thing about Texas. They're in a position here that if they win and Kansas State loses, they could finish number 2 in the conference or be number 2 in the conference at that time and then play for the conference championship. If they lose,
but Texas has Baylor 3 losses. They're not getting in the playoffs.
State, if Kansas State beats Kansas and Texas loses to Baylor, Texas could drop all the way back to 5th in the conference. Just so they're in a position where they're going to finish at the top or in the middle, and there's and I don't think there's any way around it. I don't see where they finish like 3rd or 4th. I think they're going to finish 2nd or 5th, and that's it. So that's going to be an interesting scenario. Matt C. Sibber says Joey likes to make stuff up. Yeah. Well, I'm not making that up. Anybody can look at the records and see that. It's the truth, Matt C. Sibber. But I love you. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, they could technically sneak into the playoff there, but or not the playoff, but the Big Ten championship. But I'm not so sure about that.
Yeah, and Big 12 championship. Yeah, I agree. They can sneak in. They just got to have. And Kansas State is probably not going to lose to Kansas, but it is a rivalry game, and anything can happen. Kansas is improved, but they're just not near as good as Kansas State. Kansas State.
They don't have the recruiting. Yeah.
No, and Kansas State, they've got that quarterback that's back now. He's back. He's healthy, and so that's just there's no way that anybody's going to beat Kansas State right now, other than possibly TCU. And I don't know that TCU.
What about this team here?
What? What
are you drinking out of that for?
My better half went to school there, and we went to the game. So as part of my homage to her, I got this one thing there. It's the only thing I have is Florida State. But I was impressed with that. I told Noel Squad this before when we came down there. I said, Florida State's going to really shock some people this year. I know they had 3 losses early. They shouldn't have lost North Carolina State. Look at what they're doing. They're going to win out. They're going to win out. Yeah, they're doing good.
Yeah, Florida State's really good.
Yeah. So finally,
it only Florida State's the most improved team this year. And you know what? Come next year, Florida State could be looking at making the playoffs next year.
Yep.
Yeah. Keep this up.
The playoffs, that's crazy.
I don't know. That's how improved they are.
They always play a really tough schedule.
The thing I like about them is that they didn't throw their, they finally quit doing the coaching carousel thing and just stuck with them and let him grow the culture there and get a system set up. That's what Georgia Tech has to do with whoever they put in, Brent Key or Chadwell. As long as you give them 4 or 5 years, they should be able to turn it around, unless they're just woefully stupid. I mean, you have some coaches that it's obvious they're stupid. Like, I can't believe Brian Harsin at Auburn. I mean, how big of a flop was that? My Lord. And that's partly the administration. But.
I was like, when they hired him, I was like, what? Really? Why? I never got that hire from the beginning.
Yeah, it gets old.
They tried something different, I guess.
Yeah.
But to bring a Mountain West dude into the SEC, I don't know.
Cdogg, I don't want to keep you from your show, and I don't want time to get away from you. I know you got a show coming up. I want you to tell everybody where to find you at and stuff, so that they can
I should probably
set you up at some point.
I should probably jump over to the ACC show. I do a show every week with Pigskin Pete, the ACC show, and I make Georgia Tech videos and college football videos in general. Cdogg, CDOGG. That's my handle, and I'm not hard to find. So if anybody wants to check it out, much appreciated. I just had 1,000, so freaking stoked on that.
Congratulations on that too, man. That's great.
I had a good time. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
same
you,
here.
man. I really appreciate it. Yeah,
Thanks for coming in, Cdogg. I appreciate
So
you.
I appreciate. Yeah, I appreciate you having me. I'll see you later. We'll do this again sometime.
All right, Cdogg.
Right.
See you later, buddy.
All right. See you next time.
For Billy, do you need to run too, or you want to stick around and do the playoff when the playoffs
Yeah,
come on?
I kind of want to see. I'm curious. I mean, I'm watching it from here. I'm looking down and trying to keep an eye on it. It's
well,
see how wrong I am.
we're redesigning my office, so my TV's behind me. So you'll see me like turn around like this. I'm not ignoring you. I'm looking at the TV to see where we are. Of course, it's that commercial right now, but that's how I got to watch it, is on there. I need to go turn the TV a little bit. So give me 1 second and let me turn this TV.
Yep, no problem. So Thorgy and Rick Sanchez, you guys. Rick asked what kind of turkey, fried or smoked, and I did respond in the chat. But smoked turkey is a lot easier to do than a fried turkey because you got all that oil that you got to dispose of when you're done. And so I did fried turkeys for a while, and I finally said, this is a pain in the to clean up and to put and dispose of all the grease, because who needs that much grease or that much oil? So I'll go to smoked turkeys now, and they're just as good. It's got a different texture to it, everything. It's really good. So that's what I'd do if I was going to choose between those two.
I've never had a deep fried turkey. Never
Oh,
tried it. Everybody tells me I need to try it.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah. Make sure you thaw it out before you put it in.
Yeah, I would think so. That wouldn't be a good combination.
No, it explodes. It explodes like a bomb.
Yeah.
So I had a friend do that. He thought, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna fry it. I just put it in while it's." I said, "Dude, you better." And he's like, "No, it'll be all right. It'll be all right." And he put it in. I mean, people got 2nd-degree burns and everything else. I'm like, "You stupid people." That's what happens when you live in Tennessee.
Let me so Will MD, check the score, man. There you go. We'll just check the score. But yeah, so I enjoy doing these shows every once in a while. I'm not much of a, I'm not one to be on the camera and doing this, but I enjoy doing it every once in a while. I have a good time.
I have to get my eyeballs on.
And I really appreciate. I love the fact that I can call up any of you guys. And I mean, there's a lot of you that I can just call up. Tim Prangley, Pigskin Pete.
Oh, Tim's good.
Anybody. I can just call up so many people, and like I need a couple of people for a show, and everybody's just like, "Sure, man, I'll do it." And I hadn't had you on the show for a while, man. It's been a long time. That's the last time you was on our show was when we hit 10,000, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Which was a couple months ago. So yeah. We have
Mr.
Will ND joining us.
What's up, everyone?
What do you say, Will?
Oh man, there you go. Will. There you are.
Now, Hufferbilly, Will says that Notre Dame's ACC champions, and I'm gonna let you discuss that.
Okay, I'm gonna give him that because they beat both North Carolina and Clemson. Mm-hmm. And who's playing in the ACC championship game? Let's be honest. I mean, that's why I don't understand why Notre Dame doesn't join the ACC. See, they'd have had that conference win this year. With 2 losses, and they'd be in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of the fans and the boosters just want to stay independent, but I wouldn't be against joining the ACC. I'd rather join the ACC than the Big Ten.
Yeah. Yeah, I think y'all should, but that's a different issue. I think the Big Ten has good academics. Don't get me wrong. But this is a football conference, not an academic conference. I mean, why can't they separate academic alliances from athletic, sporting stuff, and have them do different leagues for each one? Why do they have to all be on one? Anyway,
I know that if West Virginia was in the ACC, it would help so much, not only with recruiting, but just the travel expense. And the time that these players, our players have to leave for a game. They're going to play Saturday night on Thursday. To go down there and get acclimated with the time change, because we fly against across time zones when we go to play a football game. Mm-hmm. So they got to go get acclimated with time zones, get used to things, and then play the game on Saturday to fly home on Sunday to go back to school Monday. And that's hard on our players. It really is, and it's hurting our program. We've got to. I would sometimes I think I would rather see us in the AAC than in the Big 12 sometimes. Not, I don't want us in the AC. I'm not saying that. It's just might be better for the players and easier on the program.
Yeah.
So looks like they're getting ready to come out with the rankings here.
Yeah.
Of course, they'll talk about it.
Oh God, yeah. They're going to blab about a bunch of stuff beforehand. Anyway, that's what they do, right?
A lot of SEC saying how good the SEC is.
Yeah, we gotta do it with the SEC network, don't they? I mean ESPN.
So let me ask you a quick question though, Will.
Yeah.
On this Southern Cal game, how confident or how likely is it that you guys can take them down?
I think there's a very good chance. I think we have a thing is though. USC has a great offense, but they haven't faced many good defenses. Like USCLA is pretty Swiss cheese. I feel like we're a bit more physical and better than Utah, and they struggled with Utah a bit. So I feel like we have a good chance of winning. And you guys have a great defensive line, and you guys couldn't stop our run. USC's is good.
It isn't that good.
Yeah, they're all saying they're all adding me on streams and stuff that I'm on. I'm saying that they're going to stop. They're saying they're going to stop our run. I'm like, I don't think so, guys. I'm sorry to break it to you, but
yeah, I agree with you.
I want to apologize. I didn't invite you into the stream today because I could have sworn last night you said you had to do something today, and so I didn't even think about it.
No worries.
But it's funny when we start looking at some of these upsets, I guess people through the year, and then injuries make teams worse. So you think about who's been taking the hit on injuries and why they're falling off. Like North Carolina State lost their key quarterback, and they didn't really have any backup that could step in, so they just went down like a rock. And you get to someone like Notre Dame. And they've had some depletions too, but they've been stable. They've been really stable, especially on the lines of scrimmage and in the tight end group. And their running back is it's like Florida State. Florida State's running game is crazy. That's crazy good. So I look at Notre Dame, I'm like, they're coming on strong. And if Southern Cal doesn't have that defense figured out by now, they're going to be in trouble. Y'all going to ball control them to death. You going to eat them up?
That's the hope. That's the hope from the Irish faithful.
So I just got a text message, and this is from somebody that I trust as a decent source, and they just sent me an airline thing, and it says that at a Cessna, private-owned Cessna 525 jet took off from Lynchburg, coming to Morgantown.
From where?
From Lynchburg.
Ooh. Nah.
So
no, he wouldn't do that, would he?
I'm gonna have a hard time believing that Igor and G is gonna get Hugh Freeze, but if they do, who knows what's gonna happen?
Well,
that's some speculation, I know, but he goes on to tell me that somebody is insisting that it's not Hugh Freeze, but that it seems pretty logical that it may be. Mm-hmm. But now the other day I got one too that were two privately owned jets took off from Austin, coming to Morgantown, and that turned out to be women's soccer team, I think it was, or women's volleyball team from Texas coming to West Virginia. So But now we don't play Liberty, so why would they be coming in from Lynchburg? So,
Yeah, that'd be interesting though. I mean, if that's what they're gonna, if they do hire him, it'll be. He's a good coach. I mean, I just wish he was more upfront or transparent about his lifestyle or his character. Instead of trying to pretend he's something he's not. That worries me because you never know what's lurking in there. But other than that, yeah, he's a really good coach. Kind of like Urban Meyer. But do you want Urban Meyer? Yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things.
well, somebody was telling me, that he's already been in trouble at Liberty. I think it was Tony Altimore was saying that, wasn't it, Will? He's already been in trouble at Liberty this year because he tweeted something to somebody some student that said that she got sexually molested, and he tweeted something negative towards her, and the university got sued and settled it out of court. I mean, there's problems with Hugh Freeze, so that's why I'm kind of against it. I'd love to have him if he could keep his hands clean. Problem is he can't.
Yeah.
And cause he's a great football coach. He just needs to learn to shut his mouth and coach football, and stay out of other problems.
Keep his nose clean. Yeah.
Keep his nose clean. Exactly.
Yeah.
But
it's one of those where you start to see it more and more. These coaches have a veneer, and everybody keeps joking. Well, Dabo's probably doing. They make fun of him too. But it's almost like you can't pierce the Dabo veil of righteousness, if you will. But I do worry about that at times. That it's a little too Pollyannish at times.
I'll be honest with you. I worried about Dana Holgerson when he was here because Dana was known for his partying and he was known for drinking. And anybody that knows West Virginia University knows that it's like the number one party school in America for many, many decades now. And, I didn't think that was a good combination. But luckily, Dana was able to keep his nose clean for the most part. He got in trouble when he first got here in the casino. He got in some trouble and got thrown out by the cops. But other than that, I guess he done okay. He didn't quit drinking his Red Bull and vodka on the sidelines. I still insist that's what's in that can, Red Bull and vodka. But, so somebody says, why not go after Art Browse if you go after Hugh Freeze? I think that's a big difference there.
But that's another one, right? Art Browse and Hugh Freeze, and I mean, I hate it when people try to pretend there's something or put a persona out there that there's some holier than thou kind of character when all the time they're really just the same as anybody else. At least with Jimbo Fisher, we know he's a slime bag. I mean, he doesn't even pretend to not be. So at least you got what you got. But some of these other guys,
what did it take? So the rankings are coming out: 25 Louisville, 24 Cincinnati, 23 Texas, 22 UCF, 21 Oregon State.
Yeah.
So
my buddy Austin really is going to be happy that Louisville's ranked.
Yeah.
7-4 Louisville ranked in the college football playoffs.
Texas.
What in the hell?
Texas, right?
What the hell? What are they doing?
All right, 20. You got Ole Miss at 8-3. 19 is Tulane. 18 UCLA. 17 North Carolina. 16 Florida State. So North Carolina fell back behind Florida State. North Carolina 9-2. Florida State 8-3.
Yeah, that was a bad loss, and Florida State had a stupid, like a last second loss. So that makes sense to me. And Florida State's beat North Carolina, so yeah.
Right.
You're good.
UCLA dropped 2 spots from 16 to 18. So Tulane and Ole Miss stayed the same, right? No, Ole Miss dropped 6 spots. I'm sorry. Tulane rose 2. I was thinking Tulane was 19 last week. They was 21.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I was thinking of the AP poll. I think Tulane was 19 in the AP poll. All right. So now let's go to the next ones if they put them up here. All right. 15. Will Notre Dame 15. 14 is Utah, 13 is Washington, 12 is Kansas State, 11 is Penn State. So Penn State coming in 9-2, Kansas State coming in 8-3. Kansas State rose 3 spots from 15th to 12th. Washington went up 4 from 17 to 13, and Utah dropped 4. So
yeah, Utah disappointing this year, to be honest.
but Notre Dame rose up 3 spots, Bill.
Yeah, that's why I say if Notre Dame was in the ACC, they'd be in the freaking playoff contention.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So now we're waiting on the next batch. We still probably go to commercial before they go to the top 10. Knowing ESPN.
Yeah. I know. They got to make money. Got to make money.
Yeah.
You know, look at Penn State though, 9-2. How many more 9-2 Penn States, 10-2 Penn States are we going to have to endure before somebody says that's just not good enough? We need to make a change. That does bug me. I'll be honest with you. I think that Penn State got so shell shocked by that that whole situation with Paterno and everything that they just basically threw themselves on the mercy of the court and don't care. But they got to get back to caring because they really should be contending for a Big Ten title, and they are not. They are not doing that on a regular basis. They should be right there with Michigan and Ohio State. It's got to be.
I agree with that. I agree with that. But I still think
Franklin is a great recruiter. He's a great recruiter and a great preparation coach, but he cannot make in-game adjustments. That's really what's just done in Penn State. The in-game adjustments.
So he's another Neil Brown.
Yeah.
He's another Neil Brown then, yeah.
Neil Brown.
All right, so 10th, they got Tennessee. Tennessee dropped 5 spots.
Wow. They dropped them hard, didn't they?
So Tennessee fans, I told you you're delusional.
Yeah, they're out.
Sorry.
They're out.
Yeah, you're probably out. That's probably too much things have to happen ahead of you before you get in now.
Yeah.
That is a huge drop.
They'll need an Apollo 13 thread the needle moment to get in now.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
I see who 9 is. It should be good. And I mean, Tennessee had a great year, I mean, in all things considered, they really did, and they deserve.
Yeah, from where they came from.
Yeah.
Number 9 is Oregon. Oregon rose 3 spots, so Oregon jumps to number 9. So now there's a chance because Oregon could always lose to Oregon State this week, and Oregon also would have to play USC for the Pac-12 championship. So 2 chances for Oregon to lose. So Tennessee has a good chance to jump Oregon there at some point.
Yeah,
that's a loss. That's a loss that you can probably almost guarantee that it's going to be ahead of Tennessee. Because I don't think Oregon can run the table from here.
Nah. Anybody under 6 right now, you're down around 7. It starts getting real dicey at this stage.
Yeah. All right.
See, even
Number
Clemson
8
is dicey for them
Clemson.
too. Yeah.
Clemson rose 1 spot. Clemson 10-1, up to number 8. That's a. I don't know what's called that. That means that LSU is going to be ahead of Clemson.
Yeah, they're going to be. I think they're going to be next. I mean, I guess is right.
That. I didn't like that anyway.
Yeah.
I'll be the first to admit that Clemson doesn't look like the same Clemson of old this year.
Yeah, they're
getting results on the field. They're getting results on the field. They got 1 loss to a good Notre Dame team. So.
I wouldn't quite go as far as to say it's a good Notre Dame team just because Will's here. I think that Notre Dame has gotten better as the season's gone on because I think the coaching has learned how to use the talent it has. It doesn't have some talent in key positions. And the coaching staff is like, they should get Coach of the Year. The Houdini act that they're pulling off with that is amazing. Because they really did have to do a lot of triage, man, to straighten the boat up.
Nightbot likes to troll Clemson. I don't know if you've seen what Nightbot says, Hufferbilly. Have you
Oh,
seen
no.
what Nightbot says about Clemson?
What do you say?
Number 7 is Alabama. Moved up one spot. They're 9-2. So they're ahead of Clemson. And that means LSU is going to be ahead of Alabama. So Nightbot says Mrs. Pete thinks Clemson will lose the remaining games on their schedule and end up in the Liberty Bowl.
Oh, no, she doesn't. She does not. I know she doesn't. She's not nearly as negative as I am. Now, you could say that about me, but she isn't that way. I mean, she's like,
I
no, we're
know.
gonna win
I
out.
know.
We're going to.
She was in there. She was in there one night, and Nightbot was trolling Clemson every time she say something, and I was like, okay, I got to think of something different for Nightbot to say here because that's just not cutting it. It was just saying the same thing over and over, so I changed it to that. She got a big kick out of it. So that's now we're waiting on the top 6. So
That's good,
Alabama.
though. I mean, so who was 7 again? Because I called it.
Alabama.
I was looking back to chat.
Yeah,
Alabama?
wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
So
Bama,
LSU's gonna beat 6.
the Bama bias is strong. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it is. The SEC bias is strong.
Yep.
Period.
That's right. That's what I was saying. You got to keep your SEC brethren up in the top 6. Otherwise, it's amazing they put Tennessee to 10. Though, really, I didn't think it'd go that far. Damn.
Yeah, that's a pretty big drop. That's a pretty big drop.
And they didn't play bad. I mean, until Hendon was out. I mean, they were actually coming back and playing pretty competitive. It wasn't like this. They just laid down and didn't play. They just got her. The key guy
really holds them back.
Mm-hmm.
So Jonathan Easel says, for some reason, Ole Miss is still ranked despite losing to Arkansas very badly.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think Ole Miss should be ranked.
Because Arkansas has had some bad losses to Liberty.
I don't know what.
Liberty or
I
Athletic
don't know.
Liberty.
Yeah. I don't know why they have such a. I guess it's a Lane Kiffin fetish or something, but they just must love the man. But I just can't understand why Ole Miss would be ranked as high as they are. Doesn't make sense to me either.
Right.
And I'm happy with Clemson where they are. Yeah.
All right, Georgia's number 1, of course. Y'all knew that was going to happen. 11-0, and no doubt in anybody's mind, Georgia's number 1.
Yep.
Number 2 is Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
So figured that.
Yep.
We've all been projecting that it'll stay the same in the top 4.
Yeah.
Looks like that's going to hold true. Of course, after TCU has to kick a last-second field goal, they could drop TCU back.
No.
But I don't think they will.
Yeah,
Michigan?
that'd be tough. That'd be rough, man. Winning is what it's about. I mean, even if it's ugly, you got to win.
Yeah.
And they won, so you don't penalize
number
winning.
4 TCU, so they stayed the same.
Yep.
4 TCU. So that's good.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they got a tough path to get to the playoffs.
The next one got to be Southern Cal. Next one has to be.
I would think so too.
Oh, a 2-loss LSU.
LSU? Are you
what
serious?
in the hell?
Oh my gosh!
No, that's ridiculous.
That's ridiculous.
That is bullshit.
God,
That's bullshit.
I can't wait.
Man,
I can't wait for my Trojan friends to see that.
No, you know
can't
better
believe
than that.
Man,
That's bad.
LSU, number 5.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Well, they couldn't let an SEC team not be in the mix. They want to get 2 SEC teams and 2 Big Ten teams, and everybody else go pound sand. Is kind of what they want. But 2-loss LSU ain't going to get in. Trust me.
You're right. It's what they want.
I mean, I don't think they're going to beat Georgia. So.
Yeah.
No, but that's what they're counting on. With that ranking, that's what they're counting on is LSU to beat Georgia. They'll drop Georgia to 4, move LSU to 3, and both of them will be in.
Yep.
That's
exactly what they're hoping for. Now I'm gonna have to pull for Southern Cal, which I would never pull for a Pac-12 team in my entire life, except now. I can't stand the SEC bias bullshit, but that's okay.
Do you have something against
Well,
the Pac-12 HBP?
But yes, I do. I think they play finesse ball for the most part. The only time that I really was impressed with the Pac was when Harbaugh was at Stanford, and he put the lines of scrimmage as the key focus, and
They called it
just
intellectual.
Yeah.
They called it intellectual brutality. That's what they called it.
yeah.
Golden Blue dude's in the room. He says Alabama at 7 is a joke. I agree, and LSU at 5 is a big joke.
Yeah, it's not even. It's
That's a huge
not
joke.
even a funny joke. It's kind of a dumb joke.
Yeah.
It's kind of a I want to flip them off joke.
Mm-hmm. But
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this show up. That's all we're waiting on was them rankings, and we'll wrap this show up and stuff, and let you guys go enjoy your night. I appreciate you being here. Thank everybody in the chat. We'll tell everybody in the chat where to find you, and be sure and drop your link, man.
Yep. Will, you're on the
right.
internet? Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
Will, go
Will
ahead and
ND,
give your last
and
word,
then-
man.
Yeah, so you guys can find me at Will ND on YouTube and also the Young Gun Show. We're gonna record tonight after the Mark Rogers finishes up his live stream, so it should be fun. So check us out.
Yeah. Will, I appreciate you coming in with us. Hufferbilly, you don't have a channel, but you come around on other channels and stuff. Where are you mostly at though? You're on Pixie and Pete a lot. You're on Uncle Lou quite a bit.
Yeah, I need to get back over to Law Tide and team over there with BBD. I haven't been on there in a while, but yeah, I try to come to GBDs too. I mean, it's just I got too many things going on.
Yeah.
So thank
There's
you.
a lot of channels.
Appreciate it.
We appreciate you coming in with us, man. I appreciate you coming here. Everybody in chat, we thank you for being here. And we've had some good guests on tonight and stuff. I'm sorry if I missed something in the chat and you said it and I overlooked it. I apologize. Didn't mean to. But I appreciate everybody being here. If you haven't hit the thumbs up yet, be sure to hit it on the way out. Still helps the algorithm. Still gets the video suggested. Everyone, please have a great night, and we'll see you tomorrow.